Locusts. Now, so some guy just walked by. He was talking very loudly, as people do these days on their phone. They don't have like the human mannerisms of a civilized people. I don't know if people realize you'll have people walking on the left side all the time, and they're very religiously doing it. You know that they're part of the DNC uniparty. That's what it means. When they're walking on the left, and you'll be on the right side, you'll be moving to the right, and then they'll keep moving further to the left, or they go, no, I stand against humanity. I'm with the union of truth. That's kind of like what they're saying, because they're just antichrist. It's just so intrinsic. And what Christ's message is, it says Yahweh is a creator of the human experience. What is Yahweh? It's not exactly definitive outside of the contextual story, but the rebellion against that is articulated in the leftist, or in the communist, or in the Catholic. I can call it Catholic, because you see the Catholic has anti-scriptural positionings, and they're really against all humanity, because they, in their religious fervor, they're for like censorship, lying and stealing and cheating, because they're divine but you're not, and you don't understand their religious dogmas. Even though you're using scripture of Yahweh to hold your position, they are using the power of Satan. And that's what I'm talking about, the power of Satan and the darkness. So there was a guy walking by, he said, locusts, and just prior to that he said, I'm gonna get some soda. And the way he was saying it loud, where he wanted, almost like he wanted me to hear him. But as he walked by, I gave him no attention whatsoever, not like a whimper of any vibration. And when he walked by me, he kind of, I sensed, and it could be incorrect, he was a little dismayed by that. And even, that's the energy I perceived, but even in his voice, it kind of, he was almost like defeated, and he kept going. And that's why he said locusts, and he's walking by. So now he's like a manifestation of a person, and in my material existence, we live in a synthetic world. So it's like whatever timeline or whoever you are, we only have indirect access to each other. It really comes that way. There's no direct access to any other peoples. That's why I take like my strange family life as being kind of indeterminate in my understandings. I can only go by what the Bible has to offer in that, and it does have its things to say about it, which I don't need to, people understand the Bible has its messages. And very clearly, I was just saying, I brought it up, in my life, I had a very good childhood and very privileged life in a modern society as compared to generations of people, most of the world, most of the time. There's just no comparison. I can boo-hoo about whatever, little things, and it's my criticism on my life experience is very rational, but not holistic. And so in that rationality, my weakness and my failures and my, whatever it is, they are based on rational things, because I'm an incomplete person. I don't have, all knowledge and all things. In any sense, I let that. I don't like to dwell on family's strange interaction. It's a strange world of like sifting sands. So there's no real direct connection between you and any other person. So that's why I think, because in the Bible there's a lot of scripture. It says, I'm doing a strange, an unusual thing. That's Yahweh speaking about strangeness in your life and strangeness in your family relations. Okay, it explicitly says, I'm doing a strange and unusual thing. And that to me is the watcher's articulation and indication of our synthetic world, but there is a truth beyond our ascertaining. And there are those in rebellion to Yahweh's dedication, and we have an explicit dedication. And like I said, the modern people, they don't want to hear my opinions on anything, because I'm a nobody, and they take the esoteric shadow as the knowledge. That's really what they go. So that character walking by. Now I want to point this out, because I've met dozens of people, and they are very much, they have an agenda to destroy whatever I have in life, to diminish my spirit, to just have me sick, and they really attack all the time. And people they present themselves as friends, but they're not friends. Like, this is one character, and it's so gross how he wants to be so publicly disrespectful towards me, but he's pretending to be a friend. And it's just like, I pointed him out on day one I met him, and he has not disappointed me in his just betrayal on every level, always. And whether he believes it or he feels he's just trying to deceive, it doesn't really matter. But my point is, that shambling character who walked by, and these other characters, they are astral manifestations in my material existence, but they're coming from another point. And I want to bring this into the understanding. A lot of times these people have like a very pernicious smell about them. So that one character I was talking about, he pretends to be a friend. Like, he's always, even into day one I met him, like he wants to like drink, he wants to like share saliva. He'll drink from my drink, and I'm like, dude, no, you can have that. I don't want that. I'm not swapping spit with you. And even in a short time, from day one, and it's just like, that's what he does. He's so like, he will do it. Now, like, we had some, he had a gallon of water. I'm like, yeah, I'll take some of that water, because we were drinking some beers, and I'm like, oh, let me finish this beer, and then I'll drink some water real quick. And before I can get to it, he had to like swig out of the thing. He had a container he could use, but he didn't do that. He just, and it was just like so quick. I was I figured that was going to happen, because he does it all the time. He does it all the time. He's always grabbing my drink accidentally, drinking from it, and I go, well, you can have it now. And the thing is that he has such germs about him. Just being in vicinity of him, I'm always getting like sick, and it's a strange thing. So his material manifest body, I think, is coming from a strange place. That's kind of like separates these. It's indicative of their demonic nature. They have this, they're like kind of like there's like a Play-Doh or like a clay behind what we see. I see him as a person in a material world, but this is an artificial world. He's coming from a material manifestation, where his substantial place is. It's a, strange dimensional interface. But that they kind of, so another example I want to bring up is like, you run into people coincidentally. And the running into these people coincidentally is because they're coming from a portioned dimension that can manifest into the illusory the holographic world where people dwell. And there's something that's some arbitration that's beyond our capacity to recognize. I saw someone made a good point that they're like, you can't have a theory for everything. It's been discovered, and that should have been known. It's just like, that's what Tesla was saying, that there's just no way to understand what's beyond the aether. The aether exists. That's something foundational to our manifest reality. But to know what lies beyond is beyond our capacity to recognize. We don't have access to that. We have like a partial access through myth and mediations, but this is why in the word of Yahweh, we don't follow myth and mediations. We follow practicality, and we build our foundation on humane truth. Not an absolution of knowledge, but on and believe that right there, that arc of understanding, estimated knowledge and absolution. We don't have absolute. We're never going to have absolution. But the rebellions, the rebels, they have this absolution where being a selfish liar is always truthing. The occultist has answers to all things, and this is our entities that we're engaged with. You know, like they have this worldview where the master is the great deceiver, and we can be in the glory of that. That's how these people look at it, and that's what that character who walked by. He was, we didn't mention the locusts. It's also this morning there was a helicopter flying by, and my recommendeds on my YouTube are kind of like, like you can. There are busybodies out there, and the busybodies run the tech companies, and you can almost hear what they're thinking just by watching what's being recommended to you, and believe they want to control you with their recommendations, but it's kind of like got out of its box. There's all kinds of algorithms working for different solidarities that are, and for real, I want to talk about the ability for your phone to, or the sensors on your phone to identify your thoughts and ideas is getting really sophisticated. As they mentioned years ago, they said it's going to get really, really, on point quickly, and it's. I'm going to say certainly is. At this point, it's like not coincidence. And the thing that I think is missing from the people's recognition is that this is not new. We're living in old technologies, before. We're looking at a created world. Time and space kind of has an arbitrary measure. There's a lot to say. The topic is, it gets complex right away, immediately, because we're dealing with specific arbitrations that are real, but it's, people go, oh, there's no reality. There's just your conscious traveling through the, created world. The created world, forget all the reality, just its imagination and power and glory. And this is, why our world has so much strife and conflict. They don't, the masters of the hidden, they don't want solidarity in the human capacity, which was what the Christ message was. And that's created from a higher authority. That's from the Watchers did create the gospel message, sending it to the people. But, what is Yahweh? Yahweh is this, you can call it Lucifer or Satan. That's, what is Yahweh? Yahweh is this Lucifer and Satan, and he's come up with a scheme to maintain a kingdom in the created realm. And many, in service to exploiting of humanity, the Watchers almost have a necessity to do this. To side with the Watchers' grounding is almost an elicitation. It's almost illegal for mortals to side with the Nephilim, or you can call it the angelic realm. As mortals, we have to actually stand with Christ's, burden, the burden of Christ, and there is our purpose. We don't have the same. And then people argue, like, well, why not? As a mortal, I'm going to side with the ruling class angels and do my thing, and that's my freedom to do. And this is why we have a lot of this and that. And the idea of faith is really that the position Paul gave, like you said, without the truth of the matter, if this is not true, then we are not, it's not good for us. And particularly, this is what we see manifest with the communists. Communists and esotericists kind of hand in hand. They're always manipulating the dialogue, censoring people, but they find it so offensive for the Nephilim to burden us with Christ. But in any, reckoning, to have a Christ mind in recognizing the valid position of taking the cross, the deniers of any positive purpose of a supernature kind of say, no, I'm going to stick with Satan and dominion in my time, in my freedom. And this is what the majority of people, even they can claim otherwise, that's really what they do. When you see our modern church is kind of like, they want to burden the slaves, but they don't want to burden themselves. They want to hold you to a standard that they don't hold themselves. And they present the external as their goodness, and internally they keep it in the esoteric darkness. And we see this as the common people. Now everybody's doing that except for, and in the big exception, you got to realize, like, you know, there are people all over the world working harder than others, and with gratitude. And what metrics can we compare? And the esoteric masters of the world, they hold us to those standards. They go, oh, you can't complain about all the, potential goodness we've robbed from you, because others are more generous and grateful in their striving and strife. So, like, yeah. So I mean, it's kind of what I find tangible, something that we can strive and achieve with the tech companies, really pretty much being communist betrayers of humanity. We can still confiscate the military-industrial complex properties for being treacherous. Like, this is the military-industrial complex is treacherous, and we can confiscate all the technologies and then have humanity service through the technologies, not the esoteric spirits of darkness. And then we can reveal who are these cowards and liars amongst us, and the technologies can give us this differential, and then we can have a world in service of humanity as opposed to the shadows and the darkness.